So Supermicro crashed today. What a surprise. Let me open up my spreadsheet so I could calculate how much it went down. Do you guys know why it went down? I mean, I do. I just was wondering if I'll show you their because when I looked at my phone, it was around, I don't know what time it was, maybe like 10, 11 a.m. and they were down 25%. I know it came up a little bit since the crash. Let's see. Yahoo Finance is just hard to look at anymore. I can't. I like Candlestick because. Okay, so this is the 5-day chart. So today's 11/6. So on 11/5, it closed at. It's hard to see on this chart. I wish they made it easier. Okay, so it opened at 23.80. It opened at 23.80 today. So that's the opening. I want to see what the low was for the day. What do you think of Dollar General? Those dollar stores are really struggling. This is all pre-market. There has to be I mean, they make it so hard to read. It used to be so much better, Yahoo Finance. Let me see Simply Wall Street if I can see it. So what's a good website to see like how the stock moved? I want like a candlestick chart, something where I could blow it up and really see it. Okay, today is the 6th. I can't see on this either. Let me just Google stock price. Is maybe Market Watch. Let's see if. So that it says 2185. It's hard. I guess on all these sites, maybe I have to pay money in order to see the stock chart. Okay. Well, it went down 18% today. It's down 1% after hours. I mean, I guess that's the big picture. Okay, let's go to FinViz. Maybe SMCI. Let's go to FinViz, see if we get a better view of things. Okay. Okay. Okay, here we go. This is good. I think this is good. I do want to see just. Okay. Here we go. Finally. Okay, so yeah, it was up yesterday. If it's a green candlestick, that means this is by the hour. We're looking at the hourly candlestick chart. So on the last hour of the trading day, it started the hour right here at 26.74. It closed the hour at 27.35. And then today, on the 6th, Wednesday the 6th, it opened up at 26.98. Wow, what a big difference in Yahoo Finance. Hey, trader, what's up? Super Enron. So it opened, this is in 1 hour, 26.98. And then it went down to 21.08. So it's hard to get action because that's probably all pre-market. And it's really volatile pre-market. So it went down 22% in the first hour of trading because they released their, they had a press release last night, Tuesday night. They had a press release. They said they were going to mention, they were going to talk about the situation and mention their financials. I'm going to go through the press release. I just want to see. So it's so hard to like, unless you're like, even if you're a day trader, it's really hard to time this stuff. Even if I told you 100, I told you it's going to drop 22% in the first hour. It's open. It's hard to get action. It's hard to, unless you're like a big institution, it's just hard to get like the right price. Like you have to, I think little guys like me and you, it's kind of like an IPO. Like if you really like it, I remember when like Facebook IPO'd or like those really hot stocks IPO, and it starts out at like 18, but before you can even buy it, it's already up to like 30 or 40. So they kind of lock you out. So in the first hour, that's the low point, the wick of the candlestick. That's where it traded outside the open and close. So it opened at 27. It closed the hour at 21, but it did get to as low as 2026. So that was the intraday low, 2026. So you couldn't have gotten it. There's no way you could have made money unless you bought it the day before, unless you bought it like this day. If you shorted it, I'm saying, because if you knew it was going to go down, unless you got it the day before, like you couldn't have waited for the market to open because you wouldn't have gotten the right price. And then it was kind of like, you see this candlestick, the first hour candlestick, it traded within that candlestick for the rest of the day. It never kind of broke above that or below that after that first hour. That's the most volatility, that first hour, where it was holding for a long time pre-split. 20 is basically 200. Bullshit ER, basically. So the second hour, it opened here at 24. It closed 21.14. Then the third hour, it opened here, closed here. The fourth hour, it finally had some upward, because generally when a stock price gets low, it's more appealing to buy it, because there's a lot of people who have like if somebody really wants to stock at like 18, they'll have an order set at $18, and once it hits that level, they'll buy it. Or if somebody wants to sell it at like 28, they'll have a sell order sitting at 28, and sometimes it could sit there for months. And as soon as it hits that level, so once it gets to a certain level, all the people who put buy orders in start buying it once it hits that level. But let's look at their. This is kind of. I don't know if you're into like candlesticks and that type of stuff. Hi there, guys. What's up? Let's go through the interesting stuff. Well, I think it's interesting. This is where you could learn the most, is when stuff like this happens. Like, you don't really learn that much if things kind of run smooth and there's like nothing interesting going on. It's just the same thing each day in and out. It's kind of like if you're playing a sport. When things go really bad, like fall off the rails, then you kind of learn. But if just things kind of run smoothly along, it's hard to like. It's kind of like if you're fixing something and you break it and put it back together, you'll learn it much better than if you just sit there trying to follow the instructions step by step. Apparently, they're selling to the shelf companies and just stuffing books. Yeah, that's true. But this same exact thing happened in 2018. The same exact thing. In 2018, they were delisted. This is 6 years ago. I'm not talking about a few months ago. In 2018, 6 years ago, they were delisted from the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ removed them because 2 years they didn't file financials. The same exact thing that's happening right now is that they kept missing the deadline. They kept missing their quarterly financial releases, and they got delisted, and they had to pay a $17.5 million fine to the SEC because they had accounting practices that were unethical outside of what they should be doing between 2014 and 2017. So for 3 years, they were cooking the books. And they paid a penalty, they paid a fine, and everybody forgot about it. I don't even remember because they were a pretty small company back then. And then it is the same exact thing. They're cooking the books again. And Hindenburg was like the only one that really noticed this. So Hindenburg wrote this huge report. And I don't know if they're right and everything, but it looks like they kind of hit the nail on the head. Like if there's a problem at a company, if a company is doing illegal things, it's usually like bad actors. It's not like the company as a whole is doing illegal things. It's kind of like when a police officer does something against the law. It's not like then it's not like every police officer is breaking the law. There's usually a few bad eggs everywhere in every situation, and you get rid of those bad eggs, and then hopefully things get better. But they're not. Police officers are not groomed to do legal things. It's their own kind of. They think of it themselves. They're not asked to do illegal things. Hopefully not. Same thing with this company or any company. When they do illegal things, usually some bad people at the company. But so they got rid of them. They fired the people who did illegal things. But what did they do? They just hired them all back, which is a crazy thing. You don't. So all the guys who did illegal things, who were cooking the books, they just brought them back after a few months because they're all family. The CEO, he gave $1 billion to his brother's company. He has a couple of brothers, and they have companies that they sell to Supermicro. So in the past 3 years, they've spent $1 billion on his brother's company, and it's fine to do. You can do business with a relative, but when it gets to the level of like, it doesn't it's not in the up and up. And their margins are coming down. So they just called out PAX recently. Yeah, Hindenburg's good. They're really good. How come out? Well, okay, here it is. Where they call that PAX? I didn't see that. Wow. Look at that. I wish. So it went from 42. I don't know what they. Oh, 42 to 18. Okay. So the reason it went down today was they didn't actually release financials, but they gave the company expects to report the following financial information for the quarter end. So they gave what they expect to report. They're already so late in reporting. Their 6/30 2024 financials were due like mid-August. That's their fiscal year end, 6/30. So it's a lot more information, because when you have to create a 10K, there's so much more information than just a regular quarterly report. Because generally the quarterly reports, like if it's a regular company and they release their 10K on 12/31, so that's a 10K on 12/31. So on 3/30, that's like it's a 10Q. It's the first quarter 10Q, 6/30. Sheesh. Is a 10Q. Most companies follow the calendar year. So the Qs, the 10 Qs, are usually not audited by an accounting firm. The 10K is audited. So these quarterlies, the company can just make it up. Obviously, that's illegal if they make it up, but no one's kind of looking over their shoulder in a sense. But the annual, the 10K, an accounting firm has to do an audit, an independent audit. And it's hard to, if you're cooking the books, you have to be really good at cooking books, or you have to pay the accounting firm a lot of money so they look the other way. And they couldn't, in this case, they couldn't pay them enough, Ernst & Young's, because Ernst & Young didn't want to get turned into like Lehman Brothers. But anyways, so the main reason the stock went down so much is because their guidance for the quarter is sales of 5.9 to 6 billion, and Wall Street was expecting 6 to 7 billion. So it's a pretty big decline. I caught the day trade short on day one from 41 to 36. you almost got to like, it's hard to figure this stuff out. The only way to, like I said, is you have to buy it a day before everybody else buys it. But how would you know a day before? But that's the hard part, I guess. So yeah, so the went down over 20%. They gave weak guidance. And I have a feeling they're going to come even further below this. They talked about the special committee. So they have a special committee of people at the company that kind of oversee Ernst & Young and oversee, all these projects. So the special committee is probably the same people who are cooking the books. So the special committee has completed its investigation based on a set of initial concerns. So Ernst & Young raised a lot of concerns. So the special committee looked into that. Following a 3-month investigation led by independent counsel. So they hired lawyers that are independent. That's what they say, but I don't think that's true. But the investigation has found that the audit committee has acted independently, and there is no evidence of fraud or misconduct on the part of management or the board of directors. So that was the big concern, one of the main concerns of Ernst & Young, and they said the board and management are not independent. There's a lot of kind of like overlap, and the management is kind of controlling the board. But the purpose of a board is to make sure things are running properly, and the board should be separate from management. There's usually people who are both on a board and work at the company, but the board, is hired by us, the investors, to make sure management is doing the right things. Because management, when they say management, they mean the CEO, mainly the CEO, but the CFO, the top executives. The top executives are just employees of the company. They just work there. They're not supposed to control things. They make a lot of decisions. And of course, what they do is very dependent on the company's success. But really, the board is hired by the shareholders to make sure management is doing things properly. And if they're not, the board can fire. The board can fire the CEO. That's happened plenty of times in the past. And that's the purpose of the board, is to make sure there's no fraud. But in this case, it's kind of like they kind of melded together. They're acting as one. And you're not going to fire yourself, right? I was in before with a thing. I would have bought IBIT directly. Miners have an underlying issue with Bitcoin. I could be wrong, not really a crypto guy. So that's and it's hard to know exactly what Ernst & Young saw, because legally they can't really give too much information, because they could kind of say high level. So see, if you Google it, why is the board have to be separate from management? Because everybody wants to make a lot of money. Hopefully the board and management want to be successful and make the most amount of money. but the independence from management is crucial. It allows the board to provide an unbiased and objective perspective that are free from conflicts of interest. Because if you're the CEO or CFO, you want to make as much money as possible, so you can just juice up your bonus. But the board is there to say, no, you can't really give yourself $1 billion bonus. It's just ridiculous. It has to be within reason. So now they're saying the committee is recommending. I mean, this is just spin control, just to like say things and make it sound like they're doing something. So the committee is recommending a series of remedial measures for the company to strengthen its internal governance and oversight functions. And the committee expects to deliver the full report on the completed work this week or next. So I'm really excited to see what that full report entails. Because are they going to be honest and say, there's a lot of illegal activity going on where, we're giving, like, even a CEO's wife, she's like on the board of one of the companies that they give a lot of money to. Like it's very incestuous. And if you had a company, right, and you had to buy products from another company, you'd probably want to support a family member or friend. And it's not illegal to like buy something from even your parents' business or a relative's business. I mean, as long as they're providing a good product. But if you're just giving them money, overpaying for things, and then that's a little it's hard to prove, though. It's hard to prove, but Hindenburg did a good job. How is the board compensated? The board is not. They usually get like especially for these big companies, they might get like $50,000 or $75,000. But a lot of companies, I think Berkshire, I don't think the board gets anything. I mean, if you're lucky, you might be getting a few $100,000 as a board member from a company. But they shouldn't be compensated that much, because then it's like a conflict where you're paying somebody. Okay, the average annual pay for the board of director job in California is $113K. That's a lot of money. How much do board members make for So this should be mentioned in the 10K, actually. Let's see if let's look at the 10K, see if they mention how much the board members make. You probably pick up some crazy stuff in their 10K. Okay. I'm sure Hindenburg found a treasure trove of info but if they're doing stuff illegally, they're probably not going to talk about it in a 10K. But who knows? Maybe they will. Fred Chan earned $311,000 compensation 2023 fiscal year, consisting of $92,000. So the CEO's total compensation is $1. He used to make $400,000. Now he makes $1. But he gets like $1 billion in kickbacks from his relatives. Okay, here's the board. So the CEO gets $1. Here's a board member. See, there's some board members who work at the company. Like this board member is a senior VP of business development. He gets $300,000. I wonder if that's his salary or that's his for being on a board. Here's an independent person on the board. So they don't work at the company. $300K. That's a pretty good salary for just going to a few meetings a year. Another board member, $300K. $149K. $300K. That's pretty good. If it's a reputable company, let's see Apple. How much? So they pay a lot, $400,000 to be on the board. But the people on the board are not like people like me and you. People on the board have connections. Like they can introduce the company to suppliers. They could they're already in the industry. So that's a pretty penny. I would, and some of these people sit on like 3, 4, 5 boards. Because it's not like a full-time job being a board member. It's just going a few meetings a year. So this is what you would hope to see. Well, obviously, Warren Buffett, he's a chairman of the board. He's obviously gets a salary. Ajit Jain works the company too, Greg Abel. But if you see independent directors, he makes $2,700. That's what you'd want to see in a reputable company. The money should not be going. They shouldn't be spending millions and millions of dollars a year just on a board. Susan Decker, $6,700. So this is they don't pay much for board members, but it's pretty prestigious just being on a board. You can make a lot of connections, and it helps your business too. Howard Buffett. Oh, I didn't see that. $2,700. Yeah, but he owns $441 million of stock. You don't have to pay. I mean, all these people have so much money, not just in Berkshire stock, but just so much money in their personal stock. What's another? Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't think board members made that much money. I thought it'd be like $50K. It shows you how I'm out of touch. Here's Nvidia. So they all give them $359K. This one gets $581K. But yeah, that's interesting. Who's the Liang? Charles Liang. Employees are becoming millionaires. Well, yeah, if you work at like Microsoft or these companies, yeah, you're probably a millionaire. They pay pretty well. They pay really well, those companies. So these are their subsidiaries. So I bet you Hindenburg, they did a ton of research, and like they uncovered like a lot of these subsidiaries and a lot of the vendors they buy stuff from. It's very incestual. There's a lot of overlap with the CEO's family. I mean, it's hard to identify it if you're just a regular person. Especially companies that cook the books, they try to hide it. They don't try to make it too obvious. But I think, and this is going to bring Nvidia down. I think it might, because everyone who missed out on Nvidia, they were like Supermicro. That's they bought Supermicro thinking it's not nearly as expensive as Nvidia. I mean, it was, what did it get up to, like 100 something billion market cap at its peak? So they thought if it gets to $1 trillion, I could make a ton of money. So a lot of people dumped money into Supermicro. So its peak was so it was 6 times as big as it is today. So what's the market cap today? Okay, 13 billion. So 80, does that sound right? 80 billion market cap. It peaked around 80, 90 billion, which isn't that huge of a company. I mean, it's a good sized company, but Nvidia is like well over $1 trillion. So yeah, a lot of people thought this was the next Nvidia. But the growth, it was good growth, but it wasn't like unheard of growth. Nvidia's growth is unheard of. If anybody's cooking the books, it should be Nvidia, but I don't think they are. So 2023 is 7.1 billion. So most of it is server and storage systems, 6.6 billion, $500 million in subsystems and accessories. So they do a lot of business all over the world. US is number 1, but they have $1 billion in Asia, $1 billion in Europe. Yeah, Nvidia, I don't know. It doesn't seem like anything can stop Nvidia. It just keeps going up. It's going to be the first stock to hit 4 trillion. So it's a young company. It's like Nvidia's started around the same time. So this started in 1993. Charles Liang, he's still running it. But Jensen Huang is also a Taiwanese American, so that's why they have that in common. So Charles's wife is the treasurer of the company. He's a bachelor's in electrical engineering from the National Taiwan University of Science and Technology. He has a master's from University of Texas. So in 96, they opened a manufacturing subsidiary, Abelcom. And that's Abelcom is ran by Charles's brothers, Stephen and Bill. So Charles and his wife own 31% of Abelcom, while his brother Steve and other own close to 50%. So it's a family business. But you have to prove that what they're doing is unethical. Like, you can buy from family members, of course. They also open a subsidiary in Netherlands. In 2006, they pled guilty to a felony charge and paid a $150,000 fine due to a violation of a United States embargo against the sale of computer systems to Iran. So they sold, because U.S. companies can't sell to certain countries, Iran being one of them. So they try to kind of circumvent the process and still sell to countries on like the do not sell list. They sold a lot to Russia too. When Russia invaded Ukraine, the U.S. said it's illegal if you're a U.S. company to sell to Russia. And this company still sold to Russia a lot. Not directly using their name. One of their subsidiaries or a few of their subsidiaries, like the CEO's brother's companies, sold to Russia. They're always trying to circumvent the process, trying to skirt the rules. E&Y say they cannot trust management representations. Warning shot fired. SMCI reporting. You cannot have a quarter end without closing the prior year end. Well, yeah, they're still the 6/30. Their year end is 6/30. That's their fiscal year end. Their 2024 fiscal year ended 6/30. And they would do the report. They were supposed to report their 10K in mid-August, but they missed that date. They just said there was delays. They didn't say why they missed it, but they said they need to extend that date. So they got a 2-month extension so they wouldn't get delisted. And then Ernst & Young just quit on them and said they're not interested. So they still have to report 6/30, which is their fiscal year end. But they did mention just last night in that press release that their 9/30 expectations, their results. So that's why the stock went down 20%. So it's a big mess. It's really a big mess. I mean, this is a public company. This is it was nearing 100 billion market cap. Like, there's a lot of small companies, small businesses that probably don't do things correctly. And some people aren't doing things illegally to make money. They don't know how to kind of track things. They don't know how to do accounting. They do the best they can. But this is a public company that should have the resources to hire. Yeah, they can't have a 9/30 exactly, which is. I'm really, Blade, I'm hyped because I want to get to 40,000 subs, and I was kind of stagnant for months and months of only getting 5 subs a day. And now with Supermicro, I got yeah, I'll show you. I'm finally getting some activity. I want to get to 40,000 so I could do my portfolio reveal. So this is my subs. You can see like, oh no, that's views. So like October 9th, 7 subs, 0 October 10th, -5. Like some days I'm losing subs. So it's just like a few subs a day. Some days are better than others, but look at this. On November 3rd, I got 128 subs in one day. That's from Supermicro. I wonder if there's a better view. Like in the month of September, I got 72 subs, so not even 3 a day average. October, oh, here's the monthly view. This is good. So December 2023, 500 subs. And you see like it just like, it's been going down. July, 184 subs. October, I'm finally getting some movement, but it's taking forever to get to 40,000. So that's a big motivator. It's also interesting, but it's more fun when there's a reason. It's like an exercise in futility. YouTube, I feel. You make videos, and it doesn't feel like I'm going anywhere. It's like rowing a boat, but staying in the same spot. But if you do want to learn, I mean, it's not that straightforward. Even sometimes I get confused reading these reports. But if you really want to learn about this stuff, try to read the Hindenburg report. I want to do a video and go through the Hindenburg report, but it's pretty dry. It's hard to like make it fun. But also Wikipedia, you get a lot of information. Wikipedia, but it's like every company you can read about every company, even like the Apple, the best companies in the world, and you'll see like illegal, shady stuff going on. But so it's hard to know, like, is it like illegal? Like, is the company doing a lot of fraudulent things, or is it because like it's kind of like a lot of times companies get sued, like Apple and Meta, is because they're too big, and the government doesn't want them to have a monopoly. So there's like a lot of antitrust violations. So it's kind of like when you see this, when a company gets sued, is it because of something silly, like somebody sued McDonald's because the coffee spilled on them, or was McDonald's cooking the books? Like it's a big difference, right? So yeah, so in 2006 they sold to Iran, which was illegal. So in a plea agreement, it was acknowledged that Supermicro became aware of the investigation in February 2004 and set up an export control program that same year. So this company found out that the government was investigating them for fraudulent activity. So Supermicro set up, kind of circumvented the process once again. So they set up this export control program that same year. In May 2010, the company further expanded to Europe. Oh, Stretch Lab, really? Did you invest in Stretch? No, I didn't. I wanted to buy one. I thought it'd be a good investment, but I don't know. I'm actually expanding my wife's business, so it's good. It's good. It's expensive. It's not cheap. It's like $80 an hour. 2 years later, the company opened its Taiwan Science and Technology Park, totaling $99 million in construction costs. Server tampering allegation. Why does that keep doing that? So in October 2018, Bloomberg published a report citing unnamed corporate and governmental sources, which claimed that the company the Chinese army had forced Supermicro's Chinese subcontractors to add microchips with hardware backdoors to its servers. Hardware backdoors. It's code. That's code. So hardware backdoors are intended to undermine security in smart cards and other crypto processors. They've been used in car hacking. So the Chinese army worked with this company because they knew this company was doing illegal things already. So we might as well ask them, because a company like Nvidia is not going to do hardware, is not going to add hardware backdoor to its semiconductor chips. This company will. So the report claimed that the compromised servers had been sold to U.S. government divisions. So the Chinese government had this company add like code to its semiconductor chips and sell those chips to the U.S. government, so the Chinese government can spy on the U.S. government. And of course, this company did it because it's all about money with this company. They don't care about ethics. So the compromised servers were sold to U.S. government divisions, including the CIA and Department of Defense, and contractors at least 30 commercial clients. So the semiconductor chips were probably sold to big companies like Tesla or Apple. Of course, Supermicro denied the report, stating that they had not been contacted by government agencies and were unaware of any investigation. The report also disputed by sources and companies who were named therein. A second report alleging that Supermicro manufactured data center servers of an unnamed U.S. telecom firm had been compromised by hardware. So it's been on an Ethernet connector. It sounds bad, right? But it's hard to know like what, because you could write about anything. You can say, oh, this company did this, or this person did this to me. And sometimes people will believe it. If you say something about someone, oh, this person mugged me, that person, he beat me up and stole my wallet. But you could just say that. There's no way for the other person to defend themselves. Like, how would they just say they didn't do that? But I think, when a lot of people are saying negative things about you, there's probably a reason. Okay, on October 2018, the same month, Supermicro said, despite the lack of any proof that a malicious hardware chip exists, it was reviewing its motherboards for potential spy chips. That's it, spy. So they created spy chips for the Chinese government and sold them to the U.S. government and U.S. companies, so the Chinese government could spy on them. I don't remember where I heard it, but I heard someone say Supermicro computer sounds like a penny stock Christopher Moltisanti would peddle from a strip mall brokerage. That it's true. It's kind of like the name. It's just so it's like if they were like middle school kids doing like a school project, and they said, okay, on paper, your project is to come up with a company name, make up a company name, and tell us what your company does. What products does your company sell? And it's like these kids like, let's come up with a great name. Okay, Super Micro. It's kind of like it's such a like a it's just like such a silly name. Like you wouldn't think like a real legit company would be called Super Micro. Like uh like what do you sell ice cream? Yeah, I'm super ice cream, or I'm super, just put super in front of it. It sounds kind of funny, but so Supermicro filed a letter with the SEC stating that it was confident that no malicious hardware chip had been implanted during the manufacturing of its motherboards. Once again, it's just a hard thing to prove, because I guess unless you, it would be. So Bloomberg reported that despite Supermicro having been compromised since 2011, U.S. intelligence kept it a secret to gather intelligence about China and warn only a small number of potential targets. So that's interesting. That's another twist. This should be a movie, a Supermicro movie. So Bloomberg said that despite Supermicro having been compromised since 2011, the U.S. intelligence purposely kept it a secret to gather information about China. Yeah, it sounds like a Hollywood movie, right? With twists and turns. So Supermicro, so their initial accounting fraud was in 2014 to 2017, and they paid 17.5 million penalties for manipulating their books, and they were delisted in 2018 because they weren't filing their financials, just like today. The same reason they're in trouble. They're not delisted yet. The NASDAQ has sent them a letter. The funny thing is, the NASDAQ sent them a letter, I think it was on like 9/27. So NASDAQ sent this company a letter on 9/27 saying they have 2 months to produce the 10K. And it's 2 months, and they didn't produce it. So you would think this company would get delisted, but not, that's the thing. Like, usually they say if your stock trades below $1, you could be delisted. But then when it trades below $1, you just get a letter from the NASDAQ or whatever the agency is that you trade on. And they usually just keep giving you extensions. So the big one is Hindenburg alleged that Supermicro continued to engage in accounting violations, adding that the company so they rehired the people they fired who were cooking the books. They rehired most of those people. So the people who were part of the initial scandal, because they're friends and family, so they just hired them back. The report also alleged that the company was evading U.S. export restrictions. So they've been selling a lot to Russia, which is illegal, but they've been selling it under a different company name. And a lot of their suppliers are owned by the CEO's brothers. Yeah, I guess that brings us up to today. So yeah, exciting stuff on Supermicro. Try to watch my videos on them. I think it's pretty interesting stuff. Hopefully I'll get to 40,000 soon. Just keep pumping out Supermicro videos. So thanks a lot. I'll probably see you this weekend if you go to live stream. I'll see you this weekend. Thanks.